Greetings, friends. Prepare for another thrilling journey as we delve into Reddit's most bizarre tales. We're plunging deep into the quirkiest corners of the web. Grab your popcorn and join us on this adventure. Remember to hit subscribe and like. Let's begin. My wife, Anna, and I have been together for 12 years. It's the kind of relationship that seems destined from the start. High school sweethearts, first loves, and each other's first in everything. We had this idealized version of love, believing that if you loved someone, everything else would just fall into place. It was romantic, perhaps a little naive, but when you're young, you think love is enough to conquer anything. We got married in our mid-20s, filled with hope, convinced that we had it all figured out. Our families were happy for us, and we felt like we were each other's soulmates, bound by our shared history and the comfort that comes with knowing someone for so long. But as the years rolled by, that sense of romance slowly faded. Our love began to evolve into something different, something more like a deep companionship than passion. We still loved each other, but it was a love rooted more in familiarity than in desire. The bedroom, however, was a different story. From the beginning of our relationship, intimacy had never been a major component for her. Anna wasn't the type to initiate physical closeness, and in the early days I'd approach her, but it became an exhausting routine of being turned down more often than not. After a while, I stopped trying. It felt like banging my head against a wall. Each rejection chipped away at my confidence and desire to keep pursuing closeness. No amount of conversations or arguments seemed to change anything. She always had an excuse: too tired, too stressed, just not in the mood. I eventually stopped asking, and our physical relationship faded into nothing. It's been over 9 years since we last connected intimately. I know this seems hard to believe, but that's the reality we settled into. In the end, I convinced myself that physical intimacy wasn't everything, that it was just one part of a relationship, and that our bond could survive without it. But deep down, I knew something important was missing. And yet, there were so many reasons to stay together. The shared history, the home we built, the life we created. I still loved her, and she loved me, but it was more like the love between two old friends who had grown comfortable with each other rather than the passionate love of a husband and wife. There's a kind of quiet sadness that comes with accepting a life where you've given up on a fundamental part of yourself. It became easy to put my desires on the back burner, convincing myself that they didn't matter as much as everything else. Still, every once in a while, the what-ifs would sneak into my thoughts. What if I could feel wanted again? What if I could feel passion? I'd push the thoughts away as quickly as they came. I wasn't the type of man who would cheat. That's what I'd always told myself. I wasn't the kind of man who would betray the woman I'd been with for so long. But as the years passed, that quiet longing never completely went away. It was a strange feeling, being both content and restless at the same time. I had resigned myself to a life without intimacy, and yet, every so often, a fantasy would creep into my mind. I'd imagine what it would be like to be with someone else, someone who wanted me, someone who desired me in ways I hadn't felt in over a decade. But it was always just that, a fantasy, something that lived only in my head, never something I'd act on. Until one day, something shifted. I don't know what spurred it, maybe a combination of boredom and loneliness. I found myself scrolling through Reddit late at night, coming across stories from people in similar situations to mine. People trapped in loveless, sexless marriages, unsure of what to do next. And then, on a whim, I made a post. A simple, anonymous post about my situation. I don't know what I expected, probably nothing. But to my surprise, someone replied, an Uber driver from Nashville. She was married too. That's how it started. I didn't expect anything to come of it, honestly. We started messaging back and forth. At first, it was casual, just two people sharing their frustrations about their marriages. She told me about her husband, how he was distant, how she felt overlooked. I told her about Anna, the years of dead intimacy, the lack of physical connection. It felt good to talk to someone who understood. We exchanged pictures. She was attractive, more than I'd expected. And then, out of the blue, she suggested we meet. I was going to be traveling for work, spending a night out of state in a hotel. The timing seemed almost too perfect. I hesitated at first, knowing that if I went through with this, it wouldn't just be an idle fantasy anymore. This would be real, tangible, something I couldn't take back. But the temptation was too strong. She made it clear that she wanted more than just conversation. At first, I told myself I just wanted to be close to her, to experience something I had missed for so long. That was something I had always loved. But Anna never allowed it, calling it uncomfortable. I missed that intimacy. I craved it. But deep down, I knew that if we met, it wouldn't stop there, and I was okay with that. In the days leading up to the meeting, I didn't feel the guilt I thought I would. It still felt like something out of a dream, something that wasn't really going to happen. Just words exchanged through a screen. But when I checked into my hotel that night, and she texted me asking for the address, everything became terrifyingly real. For the first time, my heart started to race. I typed out a message, my hands shaking, ready to tell her to forget it, to stay away, to apologize for wasting her time. I stared at that unsent message for what felt like an eternity. Then I deleted it. 20 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened the door, I was greeted by a real flesh and blood person. It was surreal. I remember my hands trembling as I let her in, my stomach in knots. We exchanged nervous hellos, and then she kissed me. It was electric. She grabbed me by the back of my head and pulled me in, and for the first time in years, I felt wanted, desired. There was a rawness to it, a hunger I hadn't experienced in my entire relationship with Anna. We didn't waste much time talking. We were intimate right away. It was everything I'd missed, everything I'd fantasized about. She responded in ways Anna never did, making me feel like I was actually doing something right for once. We shared a connection that went beyond just the physical. It wasn't just about the act. It was about the emotional connection, the validation I'd been craving for so long. We did things I would never have done with Anna, even back when we were still physically close. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. For that one night, I wasn't just a husband or a provider. I was a man who was wanted. After we finished, we stayed close, talking and sharing more of ourselves. We spent hours together, wrapped up in each other's presence, and for those few fleeting moments, I forgot all about the life I had left behind. I wasn't thinking about Anna. I wasn't thinking about the years of rejection and loneliness. I was only thinking about this woman and how much I needed her, even if it was only for one night. That was 4 months ago. Since then, I've kept everything hidden. I covered my tracks well, deleted the Reddit post, deleted the account I used to contact her. I got myself tested afterward, just in case, and came back clean. Anna doesn't suspect a thing. I thought I'd be racked with guilt after the affair. I thought it would eat away at me, keep me up at night, but it didn't. I feel a little guilty, sure, but it's not the crushing guilt I thought it would be. If anything, the sense of fulfillment I've felt since that night far outweighs the guilt. Someone wanted me, if only for one night, if only a stranger, if only fleetingly, someone wanted me. Since then, I've thought about it a lot. That night in Nashville changed something in me. I can't go back to pretending that I'm okay with a life devoid of intimacy. I don't know what that means for Anna and me. I don't know if this means the end of our marriage or if we'll just continue living this strange, disconnected existence. I don't even know if I'll ever tell her the truth. What I do know is that I can't undo what's been done. I can't take back that night or the feelings that came with it, and part of me doesn't want to. That night reminded me of something I'd almost forgotten, what it feels like to be wanted, to be desired. I'm not sure where I go from here, but I know I can't pretend like nothing's changed.